And a puppet. He is a Trojan horse being used by the party bosses attempting to steal the nomination from Mr. Trump. Trump's campaign says that it is recalibrating its message to voters, but the statement suggests that may just be more of the same. Here to weigh in, Boris Epshteyn, former McCain aide, and Lee Carter, GOP communications strategist. So kind of says it's going to change tone, then it comes out, sounds about the same. To be fair, though, so a couple days ago, he puts out a plan about how he's going to pay for the wall. Kind of falls on deaf ears. I mean, everybody says, give us some facts, give us some policy. He does it.
And it was a good plan.
And, well, I mean, think what you want of it. It was talked about for about 30 seconds.
Well, here's the deal. He doesn't need to change. He doesn't need to pivot. What he needs to do is rewind the clock 3 weeks and go back to what he was doing before. He was running on policy. He was running on plans, and people loved it. He was talking about making America great again. He was talking about a great big wall. He was talking about immigration. He was talking about bringing jobs back. He was talking about things that mattered to the American people, a lot of them. Whether we like it or not, that is the truth. 3 weeks ago, he went off the grid, and he got taken off message. He stopped talking about his policies. He started talking about women. He went off. He started talking about wives. He totally lost the plot.
So is there a way to recover from that? I mean, could you just move right back to doing what he was doing before, or has the damage been done with women? I mean, I think that's really the essential question that people are asking today.
It's just a stumble. He lost Iowa, too. And after Iowa, everyone said he was done. They said he was not going to win one primary. You had a lot of people in the GOP said he wasn't going to win one primary. And look where he is now, well on his way to the nomination. So it's a stumble. He's been expected to lose Wisconsin for weeks now, if not months.
Okay, but
he did.
You bring up Iowa, which is an interesting point, because I think that what we saw after that was that he changed his tactic. I mean, he realized that he did not have a ground game in Iowa. He thought people would show up en masse. It didn't happen. The fact that Ted Cruz had infrastructure made a difference. So he went back and made some changes. What would you say is the change that he should make right now if you're comparing it to Iowa? What change?
It's a concentration on his policies. We're talking about, you talked about the wall. That was a good, detailed plan. He's done the same with healthcare. He did the same important foreign policy with AIPAC and on NATO. So the biggest change is a concentration on policy, on details, and going away from the personal stuff. Listen, once he said that maybe I shouldn't have sent that tweet about Heidi Cruz, you know there's a pivot. And I will tell you, as a fact, that inside the Trump campaign right now, there's conversations that, hey, it's a stumble, but we're well on the way to the nomination. New York, Northeast states, New Jersey,
what's
California.
Being said inside, without question. I mean, that's what you would have to say on a day like this. I know that they're planning to come out with more specifics and details, like we heard on the wall. I'm wondering, though, if that's a good idea. I mean, it sounds like a good idea. It's what we say we want, but it's not what's necessarily been done so far.
Look, as a messaging strategist, as a language strategist, I hear from people all the time, I want more facts, I want more details. You give it to them, and they're like snoring.
Right.
That's not what people want. They want Trump. They want pure, authentic, raw, real Trump. One of the attributes people love about him is his authenticity. He cannot lose that. He cannot. He has to be who he is, who he is, who he is. He has to do it perfectly, and he has to do it purely. He has to do it better than he's ever done it before.
And not attack people's wives,
Yes,
maybe?
and he has to start surrounding himself with the right people that start to balance him out. I mean, that moment where you see him with Carson, you start to say, that's interesting. Start to see him with more people that say a yin and a yang. We got to see more of that. So you can see he's going to put coalitions together. I can see him partnering. I can see him doing these kinds of things. But he has to be who he is. He cannot change that.
We got to go. A lot of good advice for him from both. I'm sure he's watching. We'll send him the clip. David, over to you.
Well, last night brought us one step closer to a contested convention in Cleveland. So what happens then? Two very different views on that from two very smart guys last night. Take a listen.
He has tremendous power over his troops. If he decides to stand up and walk out, 1,000 will walk out after him. If he decides he's going to make real trouble and it will disrupt the convention, I don't mean with violence, but I mean protests, demonstrations, boycotts. You could see that.
It ain't happening. You're either going to get Ted or you're going to get Donald. Live with it, and either one of them can beat Hillary, and that's good for America.
So who's right? Boris Epshteyn and Ed Rollins are back with us. Ed, one of those two guys is right, one is wrong.
Well, I think in one sense, the two guys are the two guys that are going to be chosen. I mean, one's either going to be Cruz or it's going to be Trump. If Trump feels, his people feel they're cheated out of the process, and I'm not sure Cruz they feel Cruz cheats them. But if somehow they try and go outside that to a third party, or they try and screw around the rules, then I think his people are dedicated. I think his people will walk out. But if it's a fair fight and they lose by a couple hundred votes or win by a couple hundred votes, my sense is that both sides can try and put it back together. If not, there's chaos.
Well, Boris, beyond the walkout, I mean, there are suggestions from Trump and others that there might be riots in the streets. I just don't think Donald would want to associate his brand, which he does care a lot about, forever with violence in the streets.
He's not going to incite violence. He's not going to incite riots. The key is this. If you look at the numbers, the way they look now, he still has a very straight path to 1237. He can get there by winning enough through the primaries. He can also get there if he's 50 short or 75 short. Remember, there's 6 weeks between the last primary and the convention, about 150 or maybe 323 unbound delegates. So if you're about 50 short, 75 short, all you have to do is lobby, use the power of the deal, and get those. And Donald Trump is very able to do that. If anybody, he's the one that can get that done.
At 56%, that's how many delegates of those remaining Donald Trump needs to get. He needs 494 out of the 882 that are remaining. Is that possible?
It's possible. I think the number's a little higher than that, because there's some, like Pennsylvania is not a pledged state. Each delegate gets elected, and they're total freeholders. But you know that you can swap things off. You can go play at Mar-a-Lago with the Boris here. I mean, you can have a great foursome. You can go.
I'm not that good of a golfer, Ed.
When Ford and Reagan battled it out, the Mississippi delegation had pledged to Reagan 30 delegates. The next thing we know, the chairman of the Mississippi Party is sitting next to the Queen at a state dinner, and the 30 delegates went to Ford. There's lots of things you can do, and certainly Trump's got all the resources to do that, and Cruz will try to do the same thing.
A contested convention is something nobody should want. For the party, it's a bad thing. We should unite behind the leader.
Well,
it's Donald Trump.
Certainly want it.
Well, the Democrats don't know what they want.
Fox wants it.
Do they want a communist or a socialist? But we as a party, as Republicans, don't need that. We need to win. We need to beat Hillary and concentrate on that. Now, if there is a contested convention, again, I'm very confident. I know for a fact that Trump is putting together a pretty strong delegate team, and he'll be able to get there at the convention.
Ed, what about the, I guess it's a conspiracy theory that if it goes to any kind of contested convention, neither Trump nor Cruz will get it. The establishment will step in and prevent either one of them from getting it.
There's no way. The two of them combined control that convention. They have a majority of the delegates. They can set the rules. They can do whatever they want. And
I thought it was committee of the establishment that was setting the rules.
No. There's two members from each state that get chosen, and you got about 112 rules members, and they basically then have to pass rules that have to be passed by a majority of the delegates. A majority of the delegates are Cruz and Trump. And why would they want Kasich or anybody else to have an opportunity to get in?
Final word, quick.
Let's remember who the other options are. It's Romney, who lost twice already, or it's Paul Ryan, who lost his home state in Wisconsin in 2012. It's going to be Trump, and if not, likely Cruz.
Boris and Ed, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Melissa.
All right, protests have begun at the Trump rally in Bethpage.